A few days ago, leaked footage from the upcoming Kenobi show was posted to Reddit and it took the fandom by storm. It apparently showed someone who appeared to be Obi-Wan fighting Darth Vader. And while there is a ton of speculation surrounding it, nothing is confirmed about this clip. We literally know nothing about it except what we see. So because of this, I'm not going to be talking about whether or not it was a dream, if this person Vader was fighting was actually Kenobi, or any of the other rumors surrounding it. I am just going to be talking about whether or not the rematch of the century between Vader and Kenobi will break the current Star Wars canon. Now, there are a lot of opinions, and I want to explore all of them so that we can come to a decent conclusion as to whether or not this fight will destroy the canon. But before we get into all that, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more content. Now, let's get into today's video. So in Episode 4, A New Hope, Old Ben and Darth Vader had a conversation that went something like this.
We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Originally, when the movie first came out, it was thought that this conversation was referring to Darth Vader being a pupil of Obi-Wan's during the time of the Clone Wars. Then, as a few years passed and Star Wars grew in popularity, and eventually in Episode 5 when it was shown that Darth Vader was Luke's father, Anakin Skywalker, more details came out about the past of Anakin and Obi-Wan that hinted that Obi-Wan and Anakin were master and apprentice, and that the two of them had a terrible battle before parting ways. George Lucas even stated in an interview with the Rolling Stones in the late 70s that, quote, Ben and Vader had a confrontation just like they have in Star Wars A New Hope, and Ben almost kills Vader. As a matter of fact, he falls into a volcanic pit and gets fried and is one destroyed being, end quote. There are several other references within the scripts and novelizations of the original trilogy that further show that this duel on the volcanic planet of Mustafar had been part of the Star Wars saga from the very beginning. So when Vader says that the circle is now complete, and that when he left Obi-Wan he was but the learner and now he is the master, this is a clear reference to their final duel on Mustafar when Anakin, the former apprentice or learner, was beaten by his former master, Kenobi. So, if Vader and Kenobi do have a duel in the Kenobi show, will this break the canon? And how will this change the meaning of the conversation that they have in Episode 4? Now, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on this. Some people think that it doesn't break the canon at all, while others are adamant that this rematch of the century that they're going to have is going to absolutely shatter and destroy their confrontation in Episode 4. And it is important to note that there are a lot of ways that Lucasfilm and Disney can handle this rematch. And while some of them may be good, some of them could also be very bad. To start off, this rematch of the century may not even be a real rematch. There is speculation that Kenobi and Vader may only fight through a dream sequence, that Obi-Wan may just be having a nightmare, and within this vision or within this nightmare he faces his former apprentice as Darth Vader, where he is granted this vision of what Anakin has finally become. He could also have an experience where he is guided by the Force, like Luke was in the cave on Dagobah, where he may have to face a spirit or a phantom of Darth Vader. And it is within this experience that him and Vader have their rematch of the century. There could also be a case where him and Vader fight through a Force connection, very similar to what we saw in Episode 9 between Rey and Kylo Ren. Now, this last one may not be the most logical case, as Obi-Wan and Anakin do not form a dyad, although they do share a strong Force connection, so much so that Vader even felt Obi-Wan's presence when he was on the Death Star. But again, they don't form a dyad, so I don't know if this intense of an interaction may even be possible between people like Anakin and Obi-Wan. But there are several ways for them to fight one another without actually coming face to face. Now, while any of these options and a number of other options could happen, it would feel cheap, considering that they have already told us and kind of dangled the carrot in front of us that the two of them will actually be fighting face to face. Again, Kathleen Kennedy said that this was going to be the rematch of the century, and a rematch in a dream or in a vision really isn't a rematch. Also, having Vader and Kenobi actually fight, like for real, is going to bring in a lot of fan service and a lot of viewers, which is the main reason why they're doing this in my opinion. If you tell us that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader are going to fight again Like, the entire Star Wars community is going to tune in. And I feel like it would be really cheap if they pull a Last Jedi on us and have Obi-Wan appear but not really be there, kind of how Luke was in The Last Jedi when he was fighting Kylo Ren. There was really nothing at stake there for Luke. I understand that the connection was, really hard to do, and that ended up killing Luke because he was so exhausted from the Force. Don't even get me started on that. But I felt like that fight was cheap because Luke wasn't there in reality. Him and Kylo didn't really fight. And I feel like in order for Anakin and Obi-Wan, or for Darth Vader and Obi-Wan to have this confrontation, to have this rematch, they both have to be there. So when they do fight for real, how will they justify the conversation that they have in Episode 4? Now, I understand that in the canon, it is not clearly stated that they have not fought or met one another since Mustafar. I understand that this is something that is just heavily implied in that conversation in Episode 4. And while this conversation does make way more sense if they haven't fought one another since Mustafar, there is a way that they can get around it. One of the avenues that I think would be possible is if we have a flashback scene. We know that Kenobi the show takes place around 10 years after Episode 3, but perhaps in a flashback scene, maybe 1 or 2 years after Episode 3, we can see a young, inexperienced, angry Vader who finds Kenobi, and the two of them go at it. This could then be interpreted to Vader being a Sith learner or being very young in the dark side, and that now he has come full circle and is now a master of the dark side. Now, I know that obviously this is a stretch. Now, another option that they could do is that they don't fight one another at all. That the idea is scrapped entirely, and instead of them directly confronting each other, they are using their pawns to go back and forth. For example, Vader may send his Inquisitors after Obi-Wan Kenobi, and see that his old master is alive, and this will cause him to go and try and hunt him down himself, but he'll never get the chance to see Kenobi face to face. Now, this would obviously again be a major letdown because we're all expecting Vader and Kenobi to come in contact with one another, but this could technically solve the issue of the canon and make the conversation in Episode 4 viable again. However, more than likely what is going to happen is that they are going to meet somewhere off of Tatooine and are going to fight one another just straight up. It is going to be a visually stunning fight, and it is going to be incredibly emotional, and we are going to see an intense confrontation between a bloodthirsty Vader and a desperate Kenobi. The important thing to remember is that, again, while their conversation in A New Hope heavily implies that they have not seen each other since Mustafar, it is not technically canon that they haven't. Disney and Lucasfilm are free to tell the story that they want to tell, including having Vader and Kenobi go at it again. This would not be the first time that canon got a little dicey under the Disney regime, but at the end of the day, good Star Wars is good Star Wars. I am hoping that they can find a way where they fight one another in Kenobi, yet they keep the intensity of their final duel on the Death Star, where Vader finally strikes Kenobi down, where they keep that intensity the same. If anything, they add to it. I don't know. Either way, I am excited for Kenobi, and I cannot wait to see Obi-Wan and Darth Vader go at it again, and I hope it doesn't break the canon. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think that the conflict is actually going to happen, or do you think it's going to be like a flashback or a vision or something? Is this going to ruin the continuity and the canon from Episode 4? Also, if you've made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for more Star Wars content. And remember to forever be a Star Wars fan.